Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the third part of the chess. Now this should have been the final part, but I've decided to split it in two because it's quite a long one. Okay, so last time we left, we actually had this going on, and I realized just after making the video, I realized that I didn't put my king at the right place on the black side. I simply copy and paste. So I'm gonna go fix that really quickly on my board manager. So let's open up the board manager. Hopefully you haven't done the same mistake as me. And you don't have that. So over here in Spawn Alt Chessman, we have the king here for the white team, which is at spot number 3, and then the queen is at 4. But on the other side, we also have 3 and 4. Now we're gonna put them in reverse. So that's 3 here, and that is 4 there. The king is at 4, and the queen is at 3 on the black side. Let's just make sure everything works because I like clicking on that play button quite a lot. And here we go. So in this episode we're gonna start tackling the movement of only the pawn, and we're gonna put some highlights somewhere on the board so we can see where are you know, we're gonna tell the player where he's allowed to click after selecting a object. So we got quite a lot of code to do for that, but the first thing I'd like to make is a new script. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on script, create, and then we're going to create something that is called let's say board highlights. That could work. Okay, so once that is completed, let's open up that script inside of mono behavior. I'm just going to wipe everything like I always do, and then I'll make this a public static board highlight. So I got some way to actually access this from outside. So I've made a field called instance of type this that I can be accessing from pretty much anywhere because it is static. Now inside of a private void start, I will go ahead and just say instance is equal to this. Okay. And then I also want a list, so I'll be adding using system.collection.generic, so I can use lists. And we'll make some kind of pool here, some kind of pooling mechanic, and you'll understand why in a second. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I want to use this script to create some kind of pool, and I will be pulling some game object that will act as highlights. So say every single highlight object is going to be a square, a plain square that is only going to fit on one tile on the board. So I might have multiple if I can actually move at different places. First off, I am going to create a game object, a public one, that I'll call highlight prefab, and this is going to be the base of that highlight selection. And then finally a private list of game object that are going to be the highlights, which is pretty much just a list containing all the highlight prefab that we're going to create. Okay, let's instantiate this list. So we're going to do highlight is equal to a new list of game object inside of the start, and we are pretty much good to go. We're gonna start coding this pool right now. So first function is going to be a private void that we're gonna call actually, you know what, is this going to be a private void? Never mind, this is going to be a private game object that we're gonna call get highlight object. Okay, so the way we're going to work is every single highlight object is going to be either on or off, so we're going to use their active bool to know if they're used or not. So the first thing we'll do is say game object that we're going to call, say, geo is equal to highlights dot find, and then we're going to use a predicate to look for an active one. So let's say J is J active self, not active self, my bad. So basically what this does is we're going to take this list, so the list of game object, and we're going to find it's going to find and return us the first object that matches this condition, so where active self is equal to false. Now, if it does not find anything, it's going to be, if geo is equal to null, that means there is nothing that could have been found, we're going to create a new one. So geo is equal to instantiate. Oops. Instantiate. We're going to instantiate a hilight prefab. Like so. And then add it to the list as well. So hilights.add geo. And in both case, if we did find something here and if we had to instantiate it, in both case we want to return geo like this. Okay. So we pretty much got this function going. Let's go ahead and just write the next one. The next one is going to be a public void. This one has to be public because we're going to be calling it from outside. So public void hilight. Oops, let's write it out. Hilight allowed moves, and we're gonna send this guy an array, a multidimensional array of booleans. And that makes me think we made an error in the earlier script. Not an error, but we're gonna be changing things a little bit. So inside of there, we are going to declare 2 for loops. So for I is equal to 0, as long as I is smaller than 8, we do I++. Let's copy this because we're going to need one more inside of it. Now let's do for j is equal to 0 as long as j is smaller than 8, then j++. And then we do if moves at the index I and j is equal to true, because that's a boolean, we can simply put it like that. So if that is true, oops. If that is true, we are going to do, let's declare a new game object. So game object geo is equal to get hilight object. Now this way we're going to get a non-active object in our list, or we're going to create a new one if we need to. And then we'll do geo.setActive to true. And finally we need to also move its position so it overlaps with the position it is actually highlighting. So geo.transform.position is equal to a new vector 3, and let's say I 0 j. Okay, so that's quite a lot of code, and we still have one more to do. Now we pretty much always set them active. Now let's go ahead and just make another public void hide hilights. This way we can actually turn them off every time we do not need any. So this one is simply going to be 2 lines, so a for each statement for each game object geo in say hilights. We're going to do geo.setActive is now equal to false. Okay, so we actually need to test this out now, but we don't really have a mean to do it, and we don't really have a hilight prefab. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a new hilight prefab. So over here on my chessboard, I basically need the hilight prefab to be that big. So as big as a square, and let's go on the right side. So as big as 1 square like this. So I'll be creating a game object plane, and I'll be reducing its scale to 0.1, 0.1, and then 0.1. Now, as you can tell, this perfectly fits a square, but his pivot point is around here, and that's not something we'd like because we set the position exactly to either here or here or here. We need to actually add this offset, but how exactly are we going to do this? We could add it directly in the code, or we could change its pivot point a little bit, so I'm not quite sure what we'll be doing. Let's actually add it in the code. So over here in hilight allowed move, let's do I plus 0.5f, because we know a tile is 1 meter, plus 0.5f, and hopefully this is going to work. So this little plane right here is going to be my hilight prefab, so I'm just going to call this hilight, and then drag and drop it inside of the prefab folder. Now I can remove it from up here, and also add the board hilight on there, and also add the hilight reference to it. Okay, now let's actually try and plug this function somewhere. So we don't really have any way to test this because we haven't really coded any allowed moves just yet, so we need to start doing that by going inside of the board manager. Now a lot of things are going to change in there. It's going to be a little bit more heavy and we're going to end up with a lot of lines. So I'm just simply going to collapse everything right now, and let's start by creating a public static board manager so we can access it from pretty much anywhere. And I'm doing that because the chessmans, the pieces, they're gonna need to know what's going on the board, so they're gonna need some information out of this board, like is there a person in front of me, because there is some move that you actually need someone to be there. Say for a pawn, he can go diagonal if there is enemies. But if there is no enemies, in this case, he can't do it. So he needs to know if there is something on that board. He can't simply decide to move, and then the board is going to say, is this allowed or not? Okay. And we're also going to create a private bool array, multidimensional bool, called allowed moves. Set get as well, so might as well make it... Oh no, let's keep it like that. It's not going to be a public property, it's going to be a private one. Okay, so we got this now, and that pretty much works. Okay, so let's actually go fill that allowed move boolean multidimensional array. So I'm going to go inside of the select chessman, and now there's a lot of things that's going to change in there. So let's start with the first one. We need to set the allowed move. So in order to do that, to know which moves are allowed, we need to actually ask the pawn itself. First, we need to know what are you exactly and where do you want to go. So I'm going to start by saying allowed move is equal to chessman, with an S in this case, so chessman's the array, at the index x, y, dot possible move, like so. Now, I think I made a mistake in that earlier, and I've only made this a bool. Yep, so we're gonna go back inside of chessman, the actual class, and inside of there, we're gonna say public virtual bool array of 2, so multidimensional bool like this, and instead of returning simply true, we're gonna return a new bool array like so, size 8 by 8. Okay. Okay, now we get this error where there is no overload that takes 0 argument, and that is because we're going to go back inside of chessman. I've said that last episode, but we don't actually need it, so there is no parameter needed for possible move. Okay, because we're going to take, we're going to return every move that is possible, and we already know the position of the pawn. We don't know where he wants to go because he hasn't really decided yet. We just need to know which move is allowed, so we're going to scan the whole board. Maybe not the whole board, depending on which piece we're using, but we're going to scan the board and just return him an array, two-dimensional array of every move he can do. Okay, so let's go back under the board manager. Now once we have these possible moves, what we're going to do is we are going to say, we're going to highlight them. So down here I'll say board highlights dot instance dot highlight allowed moves, and we're gonna send it the allowed moves array like so. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in here. It says possible move takes 2 argument. Okay, so move chessman down here is also going to need some modifications because it's still taking the hold function. So instead of saying that if selected chessman dot possible move, we're gonna say if allowed moves at the index x and y. As simple as that. Now we could be saying is equal to true to make it easy to read, but this is an array of booleans, so it pretty much already returns the boolean itself. We don't need to add another condition to check is true equal to true. Okay, now do we have any more errors? We don't seem to have any more errors, and I'm simply going to go in the pawn really quickly, write a public override of possible move, then create a new one, a new bool array like so, that I'm going to call R for return, is equal to a new boolean of size 8 and 8. We're also going to return that one, but I'm doing this because I want to test basically. So I'm going to say R at the index 3 3, so that should be exactly in the center, is equal to true. Now when I'm clicking on the pound, it should highlight the middle tile. So let's hit play, and as you can tell, it highlight one of the middle tile. That's going to work for every single clone. And the issue we get now, I don't know if you can tell, is that the more we click, the more we get some highlight over there, and that is because we never actually turn them off and we cannot reuse them. If we go back inside of the board manager, so when we do the move chessman, we check, is the move allowed? If it is, let's go ahead and do it. If it is not allowed and you still click, then we unselect the chessman. So in case we do unselect that chessman, we also need to hide the highlight. So in both cases, either we move the chessman or not, we need to hide the highlight. So we got our function right here, board highlight instance hide highlights like so. And now we should not have that problem anymore because it's always going to be reusing the same one. So as you can tell, I'm clicking on it, then once I drop my selection, this one goes to unactive. And then I can't do my move. The only place I'd be able to move right now is here. And as you can tell, it does work. And then I have to use another pound. So I can only move to the place where I've set my allowed move to be. Okay. So that is a good step forward. Let's go see what else do we need. Still in the move chessman, I've just did some tests and I was encountering a error where I couldn't move the same piece twice. And that is because over here in the move chessman, we forgot to actually set that position in terms of memory. So we set it physically using the transform.position up here, but we never actually did select the chessman.set position, X and a Y. So we gotta make sure we call that so we don't get some weird errors. Okay, and that should be pretty much it for this function right now. Let's go ahead and start coding the possible move for the pound. Now pawn is one of the most complicated one because it is different either you are on the white team or on the black team, and there is also some special condition as the en passant move, which is a special move in chess, and also the promotion, which is another special move. So let's start really slowly by, first off, I'm going to declare two chessmans. So up here, I'll say chessman C and then comma C2. These are going to be used a little bit later on, but let's forget about them for now. First step is going to be the white team move. If is white, so if the pawn we're actually moving right now is white, then we're gonna do diagonal left, diagonal right, and then we'll do middle, and finally there is the middle on first move, so where he can actually move two tiles in front of him when he's in the middle. Oh, sorry, not in the middle, but when he is on his first move. Now we also do the same exact thing down here for the black team, but I'll be copying this over once we're done with this first part. Okay, so diagonal left. What we're gonna do with diagonal left is, first off, we're gonna check if current x is not equal to 0. So are we not on the first tile? And current y is not equal to 7. So can we still, can we go forward, or are we at the end of the board? In that case, promotion, but that's going to be a little bit later on. So that's diagonal right, diagonal left right now. And if those two conditions are met, we're gonna go and get the piece over there. So C is equal to board manager dot instance dot chessman and we're going to get the piece that is at current x minus 1 because we're going left, and then current x plus 1, current y plus 1. Okay, so we can only move diagonal left if there is a enemy piece over there. So we're going to say if c is not equal to null, so if there is a piece and that piece is not white, so exclamation mark C is not white, then in that case we can do the move. It's a legal move. So current x minus 1, so R at the index current x minus 1, and then current y plus 1 is going to equal to true. So we've just coded our first move that's only available for the white player. Okay, I'm going to copy this over for diagonal right, and we're simply going to be changing values around. So if current x is not equal to 7, so we're not on the very right side of the board, then we're going to get current x plus 1, and then we get this. That's fine. That's also fine. So we check, is that piece black? Is there a piece? And then is that piece black? If it is, then we can move say current x plus 1 and current y plus 1 is equal to true. Okay, so we've got these two guys done. Now as for the middle one is fairly simple. So if current y is not equal to 7, so if we're not at the promotion point, so if we're not on top of the board, then in that case we can keep on going with the rest of the conditions. So C is equal to board manager. We're going to get the piece that's in front of us, dot instance dot chessman at current x and then current y plus 1. And we'll do if C is equal to null, then we're allowed to move, because if there is a piece in front of us, even though it's an enemy piece, we can't kill it, we can't take it. If it's one of ours, we can't do anything. So the only way we can move forward with the pawn is if there is nobody in front of us. So that's basically it for the middle piece. Now as for the middle piece on the first move, we're going to be checking if current y is equal to the first. So if that is the case, that means we are on the first turn, we are on the first move for that very pawn. Now this is where we're going to take the c2, because we need to know, is there an enemy directly, not enemy, is there a piece in front of us, and is there a piece 2 steps in front of us. So the first off, we're going to say C is equal to board manager, dot instance dot chessman at the index current x and also current y plus 1. So that's directly in front of us. Now we're going to copy this over here, and we're going to say C2 is equal to board manager instant chessman current y plus 2. And the only way we can do this move is if none of those spaces are taken. So if C is equal to null and C2 is also equal to null, then in that case we can do the special move. So current x current y plus 2 is now equal to true, and that is a pawn. So I'm going to copy all of this inside the black team spot, and that's the only piece that requires this big else statement. That is the only one that is different depending on which team it's on. So we won't have to do that again, I promise. Okay, so let's start off with this guy. Diagonal left, and this guy is not going to work in the same way, because we're not going upward, we're going downward this time. So the first step we'll need to do is change this over. If current x is not equal to 0, that's fine. And current y is not equal to 0 as well, because we're going in the other direction. Then we do C, get the chessman that is at -1 in y, like so. We also going to be changing it down here And right here where it says C is not equal to null, that's fine. But we're gonna be saying, and C is white. So if it's a white piece, we can actually take it. So we're gonna be reversing this part here. Okay. Now as for the diagonal right, same thing, we apply that here. So current x is not equal to 7, and then current y is not equal to 0. If that is the case, we go -1 in y. Let's change that as well, and also make sure that we can take a white piece, not a black one. So remove the exclamation mark. Great, now that's okay for the diagonal. As for the middle, we're gonna be checking, are you not on the tile number 0, because we're going downward this time. Now if you are not on that, we can actually move current y -1, if of course there is no enemy there, so change it as well down here. Now middle on first move, it's the same exact thing, we're just gonna be reversing the plus for minus, like so. Right, so I think we got pretty much everything covered for the pawn. Let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to hit play, choose a pawn, and then we get a null reference. So let's see what is going on there. Okay, so we get a null reference on this part because C is initialized, it's over here, and pretty much this side doesn't work. We know the chessman works because we're pretty much just playing with it inside of Board Manager. Now the only place where we could get an error is inside of the instance. So instance is not assigned, and that is correct. We never actually assigned it. I have totally forgotten about that. So what we're gonna do is go up to the start inside of the Board Manager, so up inside of the start, and we're gonna say the exact same thing we said in the board highlight. So we're gonna say instance is equal to this. Now hopefully this time nothing is going to crash and we can start playing around with our pawn. Quickly before that, I'm just going to move my camera around because I really don't like where it is right now and I can barely see, so I'm going to move it something like that, and that's going to be my new board. So what are my values? Here they are. I'm simply going to do align view to selected, so I get this kind of result. Press pause, then go back on my main camera and do align with view, like so. Press play, and let's go ahead and try to play with the pawn. So as you can see, on the first move, I can actually go 2 tiles forward. Same thing on the other side. Oh, never mind, not same thing on this side. So we do have a bug over here. And as you can tell, once I'm out of my first move, I can only go 1 forward. Now for this guy, he has an enemy in diagonal, so he's allowed to go here. And now we get this bug where we really don't destroy the pieces just yet. But everything seems to be working fine, except the first move for this guy. So let me just test this out really quickly. As you can see right now, he has all the 3 decisions. And yeah, okay. So let's go see what's going on with the double on the black side. So else, middle on first move. Oh, here it is. So if current y is equal to 6, not 1. So it's pretty much testing, are you on this line over here, the quit. So it is pretty much quit. So it was pretty much testing, are you on this line here and not on that line there. Now everything should work fine, and we're about to go in diagonal. Now we get a really weird bug if we just take over a piece without killing it, then it's going to bug the rest of our game. So we're going to be fixing that in a short moment. Let me just do something really quickly. Test out one more thing. And as you can see, all the 4 moves are in action here. You can actually choose to go diagonal right, left, up 1 and up 2. Okay. I'm not going to cover the en passant just yet. I'll be doing it a little bit later on because this is getting a little bit complicated. But guys, I think we're gonna just destroy the piece and then move on to the other possible moves. So that's going to be inside of the board manager. We're gonna go say under move chessman, because that's where the move actually happens. And over here we are going to declare a new chessman. So chessman C is equal to chessmans at the index x and y. Now if C is not equal to null, that means there is a piece where we are going. So it's either a kill or a we can't go because it's not our turn. So if C is not equal to null, and C is white is not equal to is white turn, then that means we actually captured a piece. And if that's the case, then we gotta do active chessman dot remove c.gameObject, and we also got to do destroy that game object. So destroy c.gameObject. Okay. And a little bit later on, we're also gonna do if it is the king, then end the game. But well, you know what? Let's actually do it right now. It takes only a second. So if c.getType, we're getting the type of the object, and it's going to return the lowest children. It's not going to return as the base, it's going to return pawn. So c.getType is equal to type of king, then that means the game is over and we've won. So we're going to be doing our conditions a little bit later on. We're just simply going to say end the game and return. Why do I put that in comments? Let's just return for real. Okay, cool. So what exactly are we going to do next on this? Did we actually fix our problem? Let's go test it out. And everything seems fine now and not buggy, so that's a really good thing. Okay guys, so that's going to be pretty much it for this episode. Sorry about splitting the videos, but the next part is really annoying and it takes a lot of copy paste, and you gotta be really careful about what you're doing. So I don't really want to split them together, so if it doesn't work, we can have a different comment section. Alright guys, so as always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like, really appreciate that. If you have any comment or question, you can leave them in the comment section below. There is also the Facebook page for that if you'd like to ask questions directly. And what else? Oh yeah, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.